Welcome to Hardly Initiated, where real men talk real shit. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, rocking in here with another episode with Ryan Catches. Ryan, how you feeling?
I'm convinced, man. We're going to the top because we got the most legendary guests on the platform today. So it's gonna be turned.
And the word legendary is so appropriate, guys. It is absolutely so appropriate, guys, because I'm sitting here with an author, with an attorney, with a judge, arguably the wisest woman to ever touch a courtroom here. My auntie. She don't even know you. She don't even know she's my auntie. But that's my auntie here. We sitting here with Judge Lynn Toler. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. Very much so.
Honorable.
Very much so.
Let me tell you something. It's incredible because right now we need you on this platform.
All right.
Because we need that wise queen energy
Okay.
on the show. Because right now we are in the trenches of this divorce culture, right?
Right.
We are here. All the stats are showing it. The conversations are showing it. And I'm sure you're seeing it on your end as well. And who better to have bring their wisdom who has been in the trenches of these marriages? And just from the years of conversations and what you've seen, for those of you who don't know, divorce court, you've been on divorce court. Was it you had a 14-year run?
I think it was 14. Yeah, 14.
A 14-year run on divorce court. I'm sure you've seen hundreds of cases.
Thousands.
Thousands
Wow.
of cases. What do you see is like one of the leading reasons that they end up in these courtrooms in the first place?
There are a number of reasons. When I started, social media was a minor reason. Now, as the years went on, there was hardly a case in which social media did not factor in one way or another.
Wow.
Either or not, it's so, you used to have to leave the house to cheat. Now I can sit here right next to you and cheat.
Wow.
I can, you know what I mean? I can DM some dude. You giving me trouble. You my man. I love you, but I don't want to hear from you. And you say, hey, beautiful, I'm talking to you now. And you over there lingering. And we're very simple creatures. We do everything to get out of immediate discomfort. And the easiest thing to do to get out of immediate discomfort is to pick something on our phones and go there. And I think that has allowed us not to manage our relationships in a meaningful way. And it also sets a lot of temptation in front of you all day, every day. And I had always said that the rule that I have is if I'm typing, texting, and I always imagine my husband above my head. And if I have any qualms, don't do it.
I like that rule.
If your partner can't read them text messages, don't
send
do
it.
it.
Don't send it.
Don't do it.
So social media is playing a big part of the demise of relationships. And
I really do. And then we get online and then we have all of these different divisive people because it's an easy way to get likes and follows is to, get on there and do the Kevin Samuels thing or what's it, Derek
Jackson.
Derek Jackson. Yeah, Derek Jackson. Wasn't he out in front of his girlfriend's house one time?
Yeah.
I was like, come on now, brother. I mean, he's cute and all, but... and so people make money off of feeding the division. And we get worse. There are a lot of factors playing into why things have become so difficult, particularly between black men and women.
Now, do you think that, you've been married for 40 plus years now?
30.
30?
4?
34 years.
I don't know. I was married in 89.
I mean, listen.
You do the math.
Enough years to be as credible as they come.
it's credible.
Now, when you initially got married, did you see it as a forever thing?
Yes, absolutely. Both of us did.
Okay.
We went off on vacation. And he never really proposed to me. We could just see where it was going. And so we took a trip to St. Croix, and we sat on the beach. He said, now look, I ain't getting married again. You ain't getting married again. Let's make sure we are on the same page. This is what I'm looking to do. This is what I need. This is what I feel. And then he said, I need us to go to marriage counseling. So we did. We did 6 months of marriage counseling before we got married so we could see where all the problems would be. boyfriend was accurate too. We had everyone he said we were going to have. But since we did the prep work, we got through it.
And when you go through, you experiencing this 30 some odd years of marriage, you're going to have issues. I'm sure some of the similar issues that you actually, presided over during your career. I mean, is it possible, or I guess, did you ever come to a point where divorce was potentially an option or something that you actually seriously considered?
2 or 3 times. I think year 7 was funky, and we couldn't figure out what was wrong. Everybody was under a lot of pressure. We have 4 kids, teenage boys in the house. I had another kid. I was running for judge, and there was a lot of pressure, and there was a lot going on. He had his own business, and having your own business, he was there from the morning till 11 o'clock at night. So I felt like a single woman with his kids and my new kid and my job and my campaign. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It was a lot. And you choose to get angry with the nearest person because he's the one that didn't put the dishes up. It's not the rest of it. And then in year 17 and 18, I would have sold you to a woman for $1, and she might have got some change. We hated each other. I mean, we had moved. We did do nothing but fight. I mean, nothing. And what I had decided to do, which is what I call the false okay, I thought, because we were under a lot of pressure, and I moved and doing a TV show, which I had never intended to do, and I'm an introvert, and I was doing all these extroverted things, and he left his whole business in Cleveland. And now he's out here in Phoenix looking at me like, I'm out here for you, now what? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He didn't see it. We didn't see it that way, but all of that was happening. And I thought the best way to handle that was to say yes to everything. I want to do yes. I want to do that. Yes. No. Yes. Okay, baby. Anything you want. 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 That made that man so mad because he married a strong, intelligent, decisive woman. And all of a sudden, I got him halfway across the country, and I decided not to think. And he didn't understand that's what was happening. And I didn't realize it until one day it was my birthday. And I was trying desperately to find a restaurant he would like on my birthday because it was all about pleasing him. And I showed him this restaurant. He said, I don't want to go there. And I thought, yeah, but it's October 25th. At 364 other days of the year, he can do anything he wants. But this one is mine. And then I had to figure out what was wrong. And then I figured out what was wrong. And it took me a year and a half, but I fixed it.
Wow.
So let me ask you this, because a lot of people now wouldn't have made it through what you guys made it through. I hear a lot of people even say, don't be in a relationship where you're not happy. That's not something that you should do. And to some extent, it is a thin line between fighting for your marriage and just being unhappy, right? So when you're going through that level of unhappiness, and even some sense that level of misery, what's going on in your mind? How do you stay focused on working through this and not just calling it quits?
I called my mother, and I was regaling her with all of his sins, and there were many. And she said, I'm going to tell you what to do. I told you what to do last time. I told you what to do the time before that. I'm going to tell you one last time. But if you don't do it, don't call me no more, because you can't stay mad and stay married. And I ain't taking nary one of these phone calls again. Are you going to do what I tell you to do? Yes, ma'am. This is what you need to do. You need to change. And I said, but he's wrong. He didn't want to go to where I wanted to go. I don't care. He's not going to change. You change. And then when you change, he'll have to change because he's got a different check. And so I changed. I stopped. She said, don't get mad. Be serious. I understand, honey, but I'm not doing that. And that used to back me up. I understand, but I'm not doing that. And then started making decisions, and he was like, oh, this is the chick I married. The one who has, oh, you know, baby, we ought to do this. Yeah, baby, that's a good idea. He got his old wife back. And it took 18 months, but we did it. But if you're unhappy, most people are always pointing at their partner and saying what they're doing wrong. They're irrelevant. What you have to do is change in order to inspire change in them. And a lot of people don't want to do that because they feel like, if I'm right, how come I got to change? And you got to change because you ain't happy. That doesn't mean do what he says or do what she says. Change how you are conducting business. And you keep changing until you find something that works. Do everything that makes sense to you first. And if everything that makes sense to you don't work, try something don't make a lot of sense. See what happens.
Let me tell you something. That was such game right there. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think one of the biggest things that we can't miss out there, out of that whole story, was that you had wise counsel.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you had a mother that you can call to be able to put you on game and give you some genuine, not coming from a place of spite, not coming from any dark place, but gave you some genuine game for you to actually apply and get results from. Do you think a lot of women have that?
I think I hit the maternal lotto. I think I got the best woman ever to hit the planet. I mean, that you can never convince me of that otherwise. But she didn't want me to marry him because he had 4 kids and he was just divorced.
Oh, I can see that.
And, I'm a Harvard graduate,
Right,
nice
right.
looking, I'm a lawyer, and they wanted me to marry a doctor. He was an accountant with his own firm, so he was fighting and struggling with them 4 kids and all that kind of stuff. And my mother was like, oh, Mary. And I married him. And the next day, what you need? She said, because the destination has always been happy. I want you to be happy. I didn't want you to get on this ship, but it's the one you're on. So I'm going to help you paddle. Even if it's not the ship I chose for you, because it's the one you chose. And she helped us all the way through.
That's unconditional
All the
support
way
right
through.
there.
Unconditional. Unconditional.
And was mom also married?
36 years, she buried him. Wow. Forever and ever.
And I know from checking out your book, the book is Your Mother's Rules.
My Mother's Rules, yep.
Yeah, and you talk about your mom pretty much being an emotional genius.
Yes.
So when you growing up and you see her experience these ups and downs in her relationship, was there anything that she taught you then, like in the midst of the things that she was going through with your father?
We did a lot of just trying to survive back then.
Okay.
But she was always an instructor. And she would I remember one time we were on Livingston Avenue and Haddon Road, and we were waiting for a light. I was about 13. And we had seen something, and I can't remember what it was. And she said, Lynn, sex speaks to men differently than it does to us. It's such a basic raw hunger for them that even men that you trust will touch you inappropriately. That was her telling me, if anybody ever does anything, tell me. Because it's always a secret.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of women who have been, molested as young people.
Many.
I mean, many.
Yeah.
And molested as young people. But she didn't, that was the seed she planted. I understand. I want you to be aware, and you can tell me. That's who she was. She would take anything that she was presented and instruct us with it.
I know. Listen, I'm very curious about this too, because that was kind of a way for her to introduce you to those types of things. And I hear a lot from women now. The sexual assault is a big deal. Being introduced to sex at an early age is a big deal for women now. What's the best way to introduce a young lady for the guys who are fathers out there and the women who are mothers? What's the best way to introduce a young lady to sex?
Deep question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. The issue that you have is they've already seen it.
That's a very modern issue now.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You can't hide it from them.
You can't hide it.
Good point.
Stuff that you didn't, stuff that you didn't know. And I remember when I don't know how old I was, but they had the first thing of sex education at school.
Yeah.
So I came home and my parents were sitting on the couch. I'll never forget it. And I said, Mom. She said, what? I said, do you want to know what they said you and Daddy did? He said, they said he got on top of you and you danced over it for a little while, and that's how I got pregnant. And I didn't believe him. Daddy shot out of the room, ran like he was like, this is not
for
my
me, right?
This is not. And I was, so.
How old were you at this point? Oh. This is like middle school?
Like 12, maybe 10, 12.
Oh, right. I feel him on that one.
But I was in it was late 60s and early, so I had never seen anything. I saw Captain Kangaroo, that was it. That was all on, there was no internet. So now you have to start early. And I think you have to start with showing people what love is. And that sex is different than that. And I mean, my boys are so protective and not deferential, but women are to be held and to love, and you don't hurt one. And if a guy's getting joy with a woman, they don't like to get up. They don't like it. That's because their father did that for me. I'm on his lap. He's hugging me. He's bouncing me. And I remember when my son was, all his life, my husband would say if he had to leave the house for any period of time, he would tell my oldest, not when his kids were gone, he was like 4 or 5, he says, you're the man of the house now. And he'd go, yeah, take care of your little brother. Yeah, I'm man of the house. So I remember at 16, Eric left, and the man, and he said, now remember, Bill, you're the man of the house. And he's 16, what does that really mean anyway? I can't tell her what to do. I can't, she won't obey me. What does it mean to be the man of the house? And my husband said, I said, you the man of the house. So when he left, I got a 2-story ladder and started painting up on the ceiling. My son came out, took the ladder. He says, you can do up to here. From here up, it's me. And when you're done, let me know. I'll take the ladder out. And then when he hauled up the ladder, because I love manual labor, so I'll do anything. He hauled up the ladder, and I said, that, son, is what the man of the house does. You return his woman to him in the same condition he left her.
Wow. I like that one.
That's the nigga I married.
I like that. And you know what? That's what all young men, and that's what we want. That's what we want for our grandmothers, our moms, our sisters. We want to be able to, pass them to a strong man that's going to keep them in the same, if not better, condition.
And he doesn't. My husband's not a talker, but they watched him for 20, 30 years, and how he treated me was how you treat your women. And the married ones, they got married once, stayed married, got kids, none of that outside children stuff, because they watched that man. And he showed them how to do it just by being there and being constant. Just, woo.
Man. That's so true what you said too, Ryan, because my mom got divorced as well. And thankfully, after her divorce, she actually remarried to another brother now that she's still married to a military brother. I mean, this is like the most poised brother ever. Like he's retired military vet, Southern brother. You know, grew up in the country. I mean, you will never see him sweat. I mean, calm, cool, collected, retired. I mean, you know, living good. Nice big house in the country. And it does make you, it makes you feel really good knowing that your mom is now in good hands.
Protected.
And she's protected now. And also it takes the pressure off of us as men as well to have other strong men in the family. Because if it wasn't for him, I'm sure my mom would need me a lot more involved and a lot more active in her life, which that would be my duty.
Absolutely. And you would do it too.
I would have to do it.
Yeah.
I would have to do it. And, you know, that's why now it's just the climate that we're in now is very dangerous for us as a community. Because if we don't have the blending of the man and the woman supporting each other, then we just really don't have a good foundation.
At all.
And that's dangerous. That's so dangerous. And, you know, that's why I think your show was so special, by the way.
Thank you.
On Divorce Court, because you did such a good job blending this wisdom with this wittiness and this humor, you know, and this realness, because you were dealing with real people over and over and over again. And you see in our generation, I seen you dealing with a lot of millennials. Do you feel like our generation has a real shot right now at being able to get it together and build those families that you've built, your mom has built, or you think we're gonna just have to hope it out for the next one? Let me know what you think, because you've seen way more relationships than me at this point. So you let me know.
I think we need to get away from the groupthink. And what the groupthink is, we are so capable now, and we were talking about this earlier, the ability to anybody with an opinion and a platform can go all over the world. And I think it's become easier, and conflict sells. You can't have a drama, you can't have a play, you can't have anything without conflict. And I think we are feeding ourselves our own demise by pursuing followers and now, who am I to tell some brother he can't make his money? You know, that's hard to tell somebody you can't make your money. What I respect about y'all is y'all doing y'all thing, but you ain't doing no damage. You asking, you're inquiring, you're having conversations, but the sell is not the conflict. The sell is the conversation and the knowing and the information and the newness. I think y'all in a little trouble, relationship-wise,
right.
Because it's just too. It's too. I grew up in a generation where you put your head down and got through it. You know, you just put your head down and got through it. And I remember you told me about the Breakfast Club interview. I looked at some of the comments, and it was like, you know, I feel sorry for Judge Lynn because she was raised in an abusive environment and didn't know it. And she's this, that, and the other thing. And I said, you know, ain't nothing perfect. And everybody is so quick to be offended and hurt, and I've been traumatized. And bad things happen, and people should be loved and cared for. But damn, sometimes you just got to get out there and fight. And we weren't allowed to get offended. You know what I mean? You gonna expect somebody to say something hurt your feelings? What you mean? My mother would get mad at me. Can I tell you a quick story?
Of course you
Please.
can. We need those.
It's 66, 67, something like that. And there was Tower Court South Pool in our neighborhood. And my father got out of the Army in 47. No, 43, 45, something like that. Because he beat the shit out of a white officer who wouldn't let him in the officers club because he was black.
Wow.
They tried to put him in Leavenworth, but he got something else. So anyway, him and a bunch of his buddies bought land on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, because they couldn't buy nice houses inside Columbus, Ohio, because they were black. And they built their own community. They all knew each other. Dr. Ruffin was over here. Dr. Manuel was over there. Attorney Cox was down. That was us. That's all we knew. All the women stayed home. All the women except for Dr. Allen, because they were two doctors, so she worked. Didn't have any kids. And anyway, so Towers Court South pool went up. They wouldn't let us sit because they don't want no black folk in the pool. So I went home, Daddy, they won't let me in the pool. Kathy and I were standing outside. And he said, okay. Respectful. So then he goes, then he comes back. I guess he made some phone calls, realized it was a private pool with membership and he couldn't get us in. But he thought, you know what, my daughters need to learn how to swim. So he made my mother take us down to the YWCA in the hood because we needed to learn how to swim. Now, my name is Lynn. My sister's name is Kathy. Our hair was about down to here. My mother had a big rock on her hand and a Mercedes. I came home and I said, Mommy, what's a rich pitch mither father? She goes, a rich pitch mither father? They were calling us rich bitch motherfuckers.
Wow.
Because they didn't. We got white names and we got long hair. They were so mean to us. And so I came home, Dad, I'm not going back. Those little kids are mean to me. Can you swim? No. Okay. Back I went. 3 weeks. Every end of every week, they gave you a lesson. You had to be able to do 4 strokes. Jump in the deep end of the pool, get out of the shallow end. I had never jumped in the pool before because I was scared. Standing in line, I was number 3. I'll never forget it. I ran in front, jumped in, did the front crawl, side stroke. I did this, and then as I turned over on my back to do the backstroke because I couldn't really do it. So I did 2 as I went under, touched the wall, got out, didn't wait for her to tell me to pass because I could tell my father I could swim. And the lesson of that is, ain't nobody got to love you where you are. You just got to take care of your business. The white kids didn't love me over here. The black kids didn't love me over there. But a bitch can swim and got her own TV show.
To this day.
I like that. I like that.
You know, we are a very sensitive culture, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know-
I don't understand. Oh, I don't get it. I mean, I think that I don't understand it. It's like peeling your skin off yourself and exposing yourself to the world. Like you can hurt me. Try to offend me. Try. I'm not, you know, if anybody can offend you, everybody can own you. I don't want nobody owning me but me. And all these trigger warnings, and I guess, you know, we should be kind and polite and all this kind of stuff. But don't teach your kids to be weak. And my parents didn't allow it. They didn't care. The teacher wasn't nice to me. She didn't put me in reading group 1. They never did because it was a squeaky mommy thing. They said, did you get 100 on your test? No. I don't want to talk to you then. Whatever. Daddy was born in 1919. Mommy was born in 1930. Whatever crap I was going through wasn't nothing compared to what they went through. And they wanted to teach us just to push and not to worry about what everybody thought and to be able to go places where you are not expected to be. I was the first black woman at a 200-man law firm. They had 3 brothers and me.
Wow.
And then I went to another law firm, did it again. And everybody says, what's that like? I didn't even notice. I didn't know. I knew what I knew. I had my degree. I'm gonna come in here and kick some ass. It didn't matter. And it's better when it, you know, people will say something like, oh, he was trying to insult you. Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry. I mean, everybody should be nice and kind and gentle, but I just think we're teaching people to be too weak.
I agree. And when you focus on the mission, you don't even notice everything else is going on.
You don't.
Yeah.
You really, really don't. And, you know, I've been, you know, but it got nothing to do with you. If you're not messing with my man or my money, why do I care what you think?
You know, the poem goes, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times
create weak kids.
And, I mean, that's the cycle we in, right?
Yeah, that's what.
But
that's
the good part about the cycle is weak men create hard times. And what happens is we start to repeat itself right here,
It'll
right?
come back. And the whole key, though, is no matter what's happening around you, You make the decision to make it right. You make a decision to make your world the way it should be. My father and all those men in the 40s made a decision. These are all of our restrictions. Let us think past that because we will not be denied. And they had to fight the whole way. They had to fight people collected money around in the neighborhood and offered the people that they were buying the land from more money because they didn't want black people out there. But they fought, and they got it. I don't know.
So, Judge Lynn, I want to talk to you about strong men from an observer perspective, because when I think about you, I mean, you grew up with both your parents in the household. You had a strong father in the household. You end up being very successful scholastically, going to Harvard. You become a top lawyer. Divorce judge. All of these different things you got going on. So I'm thinking, the man that you have this 30-some-odd year marriage with, he's got to be a strong dude. So from an observer perspective, because I would imagine, maintaining a woman for 30 years, I mean, it's one of the most dynamic individuals or beings on the entire planet. From an observer perspective,
I'm gonna keep this brother.
Yeah.
Over here. You can be my chorus.
From an observer perspective, what are some things that your husband does to showcase that he is a strong man?
He never gets excited. Takes a lot to make him angry. And the fact that he is always calm makes me believe he has this. You know what I mean? That sense of he don't get mad, he don't get angry, ain't pushy, because I got this. No problems, no trouble. I mean, you get mad, but you got to work him to get mad. You really got to lean on that brother to make him get angry. And he has no fear of my success. My success, he was my campaign manager for Judge, and he pretty much shut down his entire business and did that for a year.
Wow.
What is there to fear from a strong woman who loves you? Nothing. He doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. I kept my last name. I didn't take his last name. And he doesn't care because he knows who he is. He knows what he wants to do. And my success is his success because he's the one back here. Like I'm out here doing a series. I wrote a scripted show, 8 episodes. We're taping it right now. And I don't know why you didn't do it sooner. I don't know what the problem is. You think everybody's smarter than you, but they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just everything is a pep talk. And he said, your problem is you don't have enough confidence. But he's got confidence for days. And we are this unit. I go up, he goes up. I pass out, he passes. You know what I mean? We're together. So he has nothing to prove to anybody else. And there's no need to say, I'm in charge. He knows what he's in charge of.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure on the opposite end, because the things that you're talking about that he helps you with, I cannot personally imagine you having those issues. Because when I see you on TV, I mean, everything is, this she's beautiful. She's telling everybody, giving everybody the proper counsel. So I'm like, this lady doesn't have any problems. So it's easy to think that about people. So is it things that you do on your end to, I guess, allow him the space to still be a very strong man?
I can't allow him to do nothing because he's his own man. I can't allow him to do nothing. What I do though, I'm very congenial. You know what I mean? I love this brother. So I'm always thinking about how can I make him happy? How can I make this easy for him? Man, he's done a lot for me. He struggles. I cry. I carry on. I don't want to go. And if I haven't flown in a while, there are things he has to do to settle me down. And I appreciate everything he does for me. So, hey, baby, what you need? What you want? What you need for breakfast? What you want? I go over the top with caring for the cat I love because he goes over the top caring for me. So and he likes to laugh, and I try to be funny. Just, I
get what
mean,
you're saying.
I want him to enjoy how can he enjoy his day? How can I add to his pleasure? And, like when I was here and we were taping in this courtroom, and the judge's name was Judge Mumford, and his last name is Mumford. And I said, "Ooh, look, baby, you got a new job." Took a picture of it and sent it to him. My job is to make him feel happy that he loves me. And I'm a success if my husband's smiling. I believe that. And he handles he does what he does. He handles he does some real estate. I don't know what's going on with him. But when he asks for help, I give it. But on any other day, one of my jobs is just making sure he's smiling.
That makes a lot of sense. You
I
gotta
like that.
know your man, know what he needs, and position yourself to
And
be of value.
shovel it to him. Just shovel it. If there's no one else in this world I would just be uncomfortable for, it's him. Because he gave me all of that. None of this would have happened absent him. I don't have that strength. I have capacity, I have ability, but I don't have confidence and strength. That man has it in buckets. In buckets.
That's powerful right there.
Yeah.
I think this is important to say too. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this, because one of the biggest things, and I think what you said is absolutely true. I'm actually happy you are honest enough to say one of the biggest things that to determine that this is a strong brother, you look at his poise, right? How cool and calm he is, right? Through all the pressure, he still has this poise about him at all points in time, right? And I think that's important even for us as leaders of a company, right? You don't want to see your CEO all frantic and worried about it. Anybody gonna lose faith in this brother here, right? But then there's this conversation. It's also a new conversation. And there's truth to this conversation as well, of this conversation of vulnerability you need to have with your partner, right? So there's a thin line between vulnerability and weakness, especially as it relates to your woman. Because although he's poised, I'm sure that man's going through a lot of shit. He's got a wife, he's got these kids, he's got his business,
He
you
got
live
6
your
boys.
life. He's got things and emotions going through his head. So how does a man communicate with you in a way where you can still provide him, emotional support, and y'all have this healthy line of
Right.
communication, but it's not vulnerable and he's weak? What does that look like?
I don't make him ask. I inquire. I'll sit on you don't look right. You all right over there? You upset about that? Did you call so-and-so? What did he say? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And I'm on his lap. I'm got my finger in his ear. Just messing with him. But I want him to be comfortable and relaxed, and he's comfortable and relaxed when I'm touching him. And
That's
then-
always the case with a beautiful woman.
Get on there. Everything's fine. I'm on there and messing with the shit. Well, what's he talking about on TV? And I said, were you upset about that other day? I didn't like it. I said, what was it about? You know what I mean? I don't make him ask. I don't make him inquire, because I think part of my job is his emotional management. He manages me emotionally, giving me confidence, and I manage him emotionally, giving him an outlet for his fears and concerns and problems. And then I don't judge. You know what I mean?
I think that's a key aspect of it, not judging.
I don't, yeah.
Because somebody could share with you and be very vulnerable. And it's easy to kind of take those things that they say and, just really, just be very judgmental about it. And
My mother told me, she said, you never hit a man where he's weak. Never. It could be true, it could be real, but you don't hit him where he's weak, because it'll turn around on you. You can get him to do what you need him to do, but you never hit a man where he's weak, because they never forget it. It lives with them. And so I know what his weaknesses are. He don't know I know they're there. Because I don't mention them, don't talk about them, and I don't, now I talk about my weaknesses all day long. But he.
How do you learn about a man's weaknesses?
Well, I done been with the brother 34 years. You know, I know where he's weak. I do. I know what bothers him. I know what he doesn't like. I know, like, he never asked me to put up Christmas lights. And I didn't for years because I'm not a celebratory person. And then I saw him go into somebody's house, and he was like, wow, with the Christmas decorations. I said, this brother likes the Christmas decorations. He ain't going to ask me to do it. He ain't going to say we need to do this. So the next year, I went all out. Brother loved it.
Wow.
You watch him. You pay attention. I love this guy. What's he doing? What makes him smile? Oh, that makes him smile. Let me go over home and do that. So, and like this year, I got all new Christmas stuff. I wrap all the presents in coordinated colors because he likes it. He never asked for it, but I paid attention and I gave it to him.
Got to be present.
Present, looking, and willing to learn. And I don't expect our marriage to go well. I work my marriage like a job every day. It's the most important job I got. Well, mother, maybe, but it's the most important job I got. And you know how much time you guys put into this, don't you?
Right.
The light, you got the right light. You ain't got the almost right light.
Right.
And if the light goes out, you pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. Most people don't do that in their relationship. They don't like, what can I do today? How's he feeling? What's going on? Is he happy? Is he struggling? If he's struggling, I don't want to talk to him about his struggle, but I'm going to, A, do something to make it easier, or B, do something, because you men are cool. This is what I like about y'all. Y'all can be struggling over here, but if you show him a good time over there, then he can put that down for a second and just have the fun.
Absolutely.
I can't do that. He can't distract me. If I got a problem, this brother got to sit down and talk to me about it. He got to listen to the whole thing. But you learn, and it's a job, and you work that job. And when you work a job well, that job pays well.
Treat the marriage like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then when you work well, it pays well. I like that.
That's a bar right there. Yeah. And you full of them.
I'm full of it.
Let me ask you this one here too, Judge Lynn, because I'm sure what you've seen a lot of, because first of all, divorce court was just always in the house, just kind of playing. And a lot of things I would always hear on many shows was infidelity, right? That happens. That's just a part of nature with being in a relationship for years, right? I want to know how should we handle that issue, right? Because being that infidelity, realistically, it's a common issue in relationships. It's a very common issue. And I mean, we just can't be instructing people to just go about divorcing every time infidelity comes up in a relationship, because we're going to continue to have the problems that we have now. How should we be handling infidelity as it arrives in our relationships?
That's a very good question, that the answer to which I'm not sure I am of the proper age to give. Back in the day, when my parents were raising us and stuff, there was a phrase known as, he tips a little. And the thing was, they were all married. If you were a dude in the 50s living in that house, you were badass. You know what I mean? You were. Right. No retiring cat made it out there. And every once in a while, and it was common knowledge amongst the women, and they kind of let it happen until they stop. Doesn't happen a lot. And the dudes kind of knew, I can tip a little, but I don't do nothing disrespectful. I don't get caught. Now, these days, that wouldn't sell. Women ain't going to do that no more.
Right.
That just wouldn't sell. But they were fighting so many fights in the 50s, in the 60s, that they had to stay together. They had to make it work. And y'all want so much more sex than we do. I don't know. Maybe it's different now. Young women saying they like the one.
That's what they're saying.
I don't believe it either.
I think it's emotional baggage and the stress that's causing them to say stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't believe that. If my husband were to ever have cheated, I don't think I would have left. We would have had issues. We would have gone to a counselor. But I can't let. Now, if he's just a repeater, just a traveler, he's just screwing everything that happens to walk by,
Right.
he got to go bye-bye.
Right.
But he makes a mistake, I would hope that I was woman enough to weigh it. Not say it's okay, but get through it. When the situation is reversed, y'all never get over it.
Oh yeah. I could.
So, but that's just how y'all are. But I just y'all, y'all never get over it, and I know that. So I don't do nothing. You know what I mean? I don't care how fine you are or whatever, and I'm away from him for months. I got something so good, ain't no sex. I don't care how you can rock it. Will get me to endanger this beautiful thing I got over here. Can't do it.
Now, they also say in that same conversation, because, you hear this conversation all the time. They say, men cheat, it's not emotions involved. When women cheat, it's always emotional. That's why women cheating is worse than men. Do you think there's any truth to that, or?
Some. I mean, it's some. We want to talk. I always talk on TV about, men in marriages talk. I want more sex. I want more sex. I want more sex. And she ought to do it. And she ought to do it. I said, nah, wait a minute now. I said, all day foreplay takes 5 minutes. Call her once on the job. Didn't have to call her. Hey, baby, thinking about you. Come home, kiss her on the neck, lick her.
Yeah.
And then they get behind her, shake her butt, and ask her what happened. You're going to get laid. Now,
That takes work.
but it's only 5 minutes worth.
That's true.
It's not that much. And we want to be heard. We want you to think we're wonderful. And if you give us that, we'll give you more. Because we just love you. You know what I mean? This guy. And when we start seeing as you treat me any old way all day long, and then you expect me to join my body with yours because it's my job, brother, please. Just 5 minutes. I ain't worth that. So, the sex drives are different. I mean, he's always wanted more than I have. But we figured it out how to, and he knows what makes me feel warm and fuzzy. You make me feel warm and fuzzy, I'll make you feel warm and fuzzy.
I think that's a really good formula for men to get what they want from their woman. So I want to talk because, just being here sitting with you, I could imagine you don't have any issue getting what you want from your man, right? Even sitting here now, I'm like, you want some coffee? What, you want me to fluff the pillows? What you need, right? But I think modern women do have an issue, and it seems like they have found a way to get what they want from men. The number one thing being attention, but the way they are attracting this attention and getting this attention is a lot of it through being scantily clad and presenting themselves very sexually online. So I want to speak to the women who are on that end of the spectrum. What are some things outside of just being overly sexualized can a woman do in her relationship, or if she's seeking just some attention or some things from a man? What are some things that she can do that are not sexual?
Here's what I would say. Stop thinking about it as, what can I do for a man that is not sexual, that's attractive? What I say is, who are you? And what do you like? I pay enough attention to who you are and what you like. Oh, he likes this. Then I do that. He likes this other thing. He likes a deep conversation about politics. Okay. He likes such and such. I know what my husband likes and doesn't like, and I feed his need. I don't feed a male need.
Ooh.
Damn.
I get that. It's and if you operate with that specificity.
But people don't do that.
Right.
They're out there with the resume. 6 figures, you got to be over 6 feet, and blah, 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 blah. Ain't none of that. None of that. It's like, who is he? What's he need? What's he want? Do I like what he needs and want? Go ahead and give it to him. And get joy out of giving it to him. Because it's fun to feed somebody you love. Whether you're feeding them conversation, whether you're feeding them, excitement and whatever it is. But focus on that cat and let him know you know him, as opposed to how do I get men in general. Because I was like the world's worst girlfriend. I didn't give a what oh, you want to go to Italian? I want to go to Chinese. Let's break up. Because like they were like, I'm on this path, and brother, you want to come, you can come. But how I knew he was the one was that's what he wants to do. I'm gonna go in and do that with him. I didn't want to leave just because he wasn't doing what I wanted to do.
What made you, and was it that strength that you saw in him that made you want to, pretty much do what he wanted, or were you in a different time in your life? What was it?
Strong, silent type. Just loved it. My father was very, very, he was mentally ill. He was mercurial, and it was, stuff popping off all the time. And this dude, steady. And it was funny because the other dude that he was with was unmarried, and he called me first. After I went to the Cavs game, remember I told you I married my husband. I met him at a Cavs game, and he was with his buddy, and his buddy called, and I was like, dang. And buddy was like, they both good looking, but the buddy was, he was sexy, he was a player. And I was like, I don't want that one. My husband had his jeans rolled up, all goofy looking. That's the brother I want and don't care. You know what I mean? Like, he is so bad. It's like Michael Jackson.
Right.
He put on white socks because he's Michael Jackson. He made it cool because he had it on. And it took him 3 weeks to call me. And after a couple years, I said, how come it took you so long? I thought you and Huggins decided, you can chase her. I'm done. He said, nah. He said, because I knew if I went for you, you were serious or nothing. And I needed to know I was ready for serious. So that's what took me so long. I was like, I got the right guy.
Right.
It's funny. Me and Ryan be talking. There's some women that we be like, no, we can't rock with her right now. That's gonna have to be a wife. We gotta be ready to like that.
Right. Yeah, you got exactly.
Yeah, we gotta be ready to take that one on for the long haul.
And it's very much so about how that woman presents herself too.
Absolutely.
Very much, and in the communication, the conversation that you have. And it's funny, Judge, how you talked about finding out what your specific man wants. And it just reminds me of this was maybe like 6 years ago. I was dating a young lady and was with her family for Christmas. And her mom pulled out like this, I think it was like a 12-pack of these beers. Mm-hmm. And she mentioned, when she's getting ready to put them on the counter, she mentioned how much she loved them. And the young lady I was dating at the time was, called her out in front of everybody. It's like, you don't love those. You just say you like whatever my dad likes. Mm-hmm. And she was kind of upset. Like the young lady I was dating said it in this way that was kind of like this disappointed way. Like you don't do what's for you. You do it because he likes it. And she looked at her and was just like, it's some things that we got to talk about that you just don't understand. And I didn't really understand that until later, what that meant. It just meant, if my man likes this, he likes it, I like this. So tonight, we drinking this damn six-pack.
Let me give you a good example. For example, I told y'all my mom got remarried. Mr. Lonnie, his name. Mm-hmm. He loves some football. Right. Let me tell you, college sports, NFL, he knows. We could call him right now, figure out what's the NFC East standings.
And he would know.
He's like, I'm telling you, he knows everything about it. Let me tell you, my mom all of a sudden, she know football better than me. My mom is a Georgia Bulldogs fan. She got gear. She know when the game's going on. My mom literally has become a football fanatic. But it makes sense because that's how they connect.
But somebody who doesn't understand men, or that men would appreciate that level of consideration, would say like she's not being genuine to herself.
Right. Anyone who doesn't understand people would say she's not being genuine to herself. If I love somebody, out of all the billions of cats on this world, I pick that one. And if I'm not willing to do things for him that were not necessarily right down the middle for me, why'd I marry him? I married him to change everything, my status and all this kind of stuff. I know what a balk is in baseball. because he loves baseball. I couldn't care. I think that's the dullest game ever. But we will sit at the thing. I'll eat hot dogs. You can buy a drink. Every once in a while, I learn not to ask too many questions because you become a mensch and they don't want to be followed.
That's true. That's
You know
true.
what I mean? Don't ask too many. Learn on your own. But that's the baseball. But it's like, and he's like, he is happy, and he does the same thing for me. Everybody is so. This is another thing I think's wrong with social media. You put everything on there, so everybody judges everything that you do, and so you have to put that you doing this for your man, you doing that for man. You looking weak. You're not looking. I'll do anything for my husband, and he'll do anything for me. And I don't care what you think about it, what do you think about it, or what he thinks about it, because he's my man. And there's no comparison. And you never see him on my social media, do you?
No.
You know why? He don't like it. He don't like it. And I used to do it maybe once or twice a year. Baby, can I put a picture? Just one. But you respect. And for me, it would be very helpful because I do what I do and us doing like...
It's credibility. Right.
All of that. But I respect him more than my own needs in that regard because he's my man. And it don't make me smaller. It don't make me less than. It don't make me a pick-me, which somebody called me and made me mad. It don't make me none of that. It just makes me happily married.
Facts.
I give 100%. Let's tell you, I go out town, work. Hey, baby, is everything fine? Yeah, everything's fine. Hey, baby, everything's fine. I get home. He said, well, now that you're home, baby, let me tell you what the hell happened. And, the house went up in flames and then this and that. But he lies to me till I can get home. He says, and I said, well, why didn't you tell me? He said, what could you do? And he says, I got it. I'll carry that. I'm not going to call you about that. Or I'll go away to work. I won't call him for 3 days because it's just been hectic. And I'll call him I'm sorry I haven't called. I figured you were busy. I know what you're doing. He does for me what I do for him. And it's always, not always easy, but it's always meaningful and joyful because we know it. And we acknowledge it.
All right, fellas. So y'all heard that. Judge Lynn just said you can lie to your lady.
Oh!
As long as it's in her best interest.
Right. As long as it's in her best interest. That's a good one.
But I get it, though. I mean, he wants you to be, and you already said, and I'm sure, again, it's like knowing you. He knows you. You said you anxious. He said you worried about all these different things. Why put some more on your plate?
Last thing you want to do is gin me up. You want to have my mind clear so I can do my job. And if I'm worried about what's happening at home, my mind is not clear. So he doesn't allow that. And the one time in 14 years, he called me. He said, baby, I'm so sorry. And it was a legal matter. One of my kids.
Okay.
Should I ask? Here's what you do, baby. But that's what we do for each other.
Peace.
Peace, yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
Man, that's beautiful.
Very nice, yeah.
And see, it's interesting because, a lot of times, and that's why we, even as a platform, we got to bring other people up here with successful relationships that's already doing it. Because, again, you're hearing all this information, all the groupthink that you discussed prior. And when you hear somebody actually having a successful relationship and the stories they tell, the things that they say and they do, that just sounds like what it really takes to have a successful relationship. It's almost like listening to somebody like your college professor teach you about business and actually listen to the entrepreneur who's had a successful business for 30 years.
Right.
It's a very big difference, and it's something special about the information you give him because it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And again, I see how social media can misinform a lot of us, whether it's misinforming us to think that we need to overly be, about self, and not conform to other people because that's dangerous.
Get all the negative people out of your life. You know, there's some people in
Yep.
for just give up. No, that you're not making me joyous right now. Go away. It's terrible.
You should not
Boundaries.
be in an unhappy relationship because if the relationship is bad,
not
you
feeding
gotta.
your soul. You shouldn't be in it.
But
Sorry.
that I mean no. You on point because I mean that's like saying like I mean every time something happens in your business, you need to quit the business and get a new one. Which I mean, no successful entrepreneur will tell you that. You got to weather some hard times
Right.
in your business as well to be able to see success. But I don't know if we built like that, Judge.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
So what's going on with y'all? I mean, what's happening with the women down here? You must be doing all right. What are you finding? What are you seeing? What are you liking? What are you not liking?
I'll let Tashawn answer that first. I'll let him take that one down first.
You know, it's funny because a lot of it, before I even jump to the ladies, I'm gonna start with myself.
Okay.
Because mainly, much of it has been me identifying what I want.
Okay.
Right? Because I think that's the most important thing. Because as long as I make a decision, regardless of all what's happening with the women out here, I truly believe that as soon as I make the decision to find a wife, I'm gonna find her very easily.
Right.
And I've dated women that have that potential, but the question is this something that I want to commit and pursue? Because I remember one of my mentors told me this. I asked him, "How do I know I'm ready for marriage?" And he asked me. He had a real, Socratic approach to the answer. He said, "Okay." He said, "Do you have problems that occur in your business?" I said, "Of course I do." He said, "What do you do when it happens?" I said, "I solve it." He said, "What do you do when the solution you came up with doesn't work?" He said, "I create another one." He said, "What if that doesn't work?" He said, I'm gonna figure it out." He said, "Are you ever gonna throw the business away?" I said, "I mean, that's not even an option. I gotta figure this out. This is how I feed myself. There's no option to throw it away." He said, "What happens when a problem occurs in your relationship with a young lady?" I said, "Honestly, I think I probably need to get rid of this so I can lighten up the load."
Right.
And he said, as soon as you have that same mindset in business that you have with the women, you're not ready to get into a relationship.
Outstanding. That's great advice.
And see, I thought about that. And usually people give me this airy-fairy way to determine whether or not I'm supposed to be in a relationship. But that actually gave me something tangible for me to actually reflect on and be introspective, to think, wow, I'm not that committed to this part of my life yet. And until I'm ready to be that committed, I'm just going to be out here really dating casually and having to find women who also are on a casual basis as well. Now, the problem is dating casually, it's a lot of BS that comes with that pool. You're running into a lot of women that she either got to be in a phase in her life where she's like in this building phase where she's cool with dating casually because she's focused on something else. Or
In the retirement phase.
yeah,
where she done been through it all.
Yeah.
She's just like done.
or she done been through so damn much where she like, look, I don't want none of that no more. I'm tired of niggas. I'm divorced. I'm this and that. And I just want to have me some fun. So it's this weird play. And if you find somebody that actually wants that, something long term, and sometimes even the women who say they don't end up wanting something long term.
Oh, they do.
That happens a lot of times.
That happens.
Now you fall into this real confusing space. And I am dating a young lady that has a lot of potential long term. And it's funny because, it makes you think and reevaluate, what do I really want? Because you either eventually at some point it's going to get to a place where you either going to have to forego this opportunity and just miss out on this and say because for the greater good, I'm not ready for it. Or you just call an audible and make an adjustment to your plans so you can build with somebody who you deem to be qualified. So I'm still in a place right now where I'm evolving. My mindset is evolving. Every time I sit down in these interviews, I hear all these wonderful things. I learn and understand a bit better how a relationship can be beneficial to me in my growth, because myself and a lot of us in my generation still can see it as a distraction. And we still can see it as a way that can slow down my pursuit of my purpose and not necessarily add to it.
Right.
So because I'm better understanding how a good woman can come on board and we can actually expedite this thing, I'm more open to it, but I'm still undecided, Judge. I'm be honest. I'm still very undecided.
Hey, that was well thought out. That was very well thought out. And a good friend, too. I love that analogy that he gave about The business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, brother.
I'm a little
Your
nervous
turn.
about this one.
Just tell her you smashing and dashing. Just tell her that.
No, I'll be honest, Judge. I'll be honest. I am in a very casual, I guess, time of my life. So with us, it's we want to put all our eggs in this basket, and we want to live very risky because we really are desiring that big payout at the end. So I just can't imagine taking on something, a person as dynamic as a woman and kind of putting her in that situation.
Right.
Because we don't know how long it's going to last, you know what I mean, until that payout comes. So I do want to be in a much better situation where I have more capacity to care for that woman. And of course, when we get ready to have kids. But I have come to this place now over the past couple years because I was one of those young men that was saying things like, I don't need to meet my father. I turned out okay. So I really had to dive deep, and get some of that introspection to now understand once I turned 18, once I became a man, so to speak, it's my responsibility now to seek this father out, right? So I've been doing that for the past couple of years. And then also understanding that it's my responsibility to handle everything that comes in front of me,
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping over the next couple of years we can get to where we need to be so I can then start seriously entertaining a woman for, having a future with. But right now, in the casual dating scene, I'm not even seeing that many women that I would take serious interest in, to be honest with you.
Right.
A lot of, I think their ideals come from what's seen on social media. A lot of them that I've experienced have grown up in homes like mine, so they also don't have traditions.
Right.
They also don't understand, what these traditional roles in the household look like. They also are like me, who have been so career driven and so success driven when it comes to being a professional, that you haven't even looked into those other things. You haven't even investigated those other parts of your life, what your relationships look like, what your mind looks like, what your health looks like, and all of those different things. So it is scary, being out there in the field from what I'm seeing. But I'm hoping that if it is true, which I think it is, that as a man thinketh, so is he, that I will be able to put myself in a position to where I'm attracting more of the women who are, along the same mindset to have this very serious relationship.
And let me add to what he said too, right before you go.
Sure, go ahead.
Another thing that a lot of women are missing that we've seen, I think probably the most important thing is what you had. It's that wise counsel. It's that wise elder, right? Or elders that you can go to for genuine counsel.
Yeah, not
when
Pookie
you
and Ray Ray.
Not the Pookie and Ray Ray, right? Or Shaniqua and Shanice. Right, who are also single at the club.
Right.
As counsel in your relationship. But people that are genuinely qualified to give you advice from a place of wisdom that you can apply and have success. I think that's one of the biggest things we missing from men and women, actually.
Absolutely.
From men and women.
Absolutely. And I think you might find, as you ascend, which I have every confidence both of you will, you're going to meet different pools of women. Because even back in the day when I was your age, you wouldn't have met me in a club. Because I was painting or building doll houses, doing bizarre stuff. But that's where you can meet different kinds of women who don't gravitate to what you already know. So as you move forward, what I just said sounded so arrogant.
No, but it's
So
true.
sorry.
I mean,
I
you-
didn't
No,
mean
it's true.
you can ascend towards a woman like me, but I meant you can differentiate.
No,
go different places as you move.
You are
move forward.
100% right. When you go to the mall, let's say I walked into a Forever 21, it's going to be a certain type of woman there. Now, if I walk into the Louis Vuitton store, it'll be a certain type of woman in there. So I do
If
understand.
you walk in a Magic City,
It'll be
it's
a
gonna
certain type of woman
another
in there. Right.
And if you walk into Target, it'll be me.
Okay. So I do agree with you. It's certain things that I can do to position myself to be able to meet,
Right.
that woman. So yeah, I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah, just different. I always tell women to expand your dating pool by doing different things. If you're going on the same block in the same corner, you're gonna meet the same cat. Go do something you've never done before, and then you'll find, oh, there's a whole different set of cats out here doing something completely different. Like,
I'm with you. Now, one thing that does concern me is Because it concerns me and it pleases me at the same time, which is women's sexual freedom. So on one side of it, I love it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just
That's
like,
the dark side. That's the dark side.
I'm like, girl, be yourself, girl. Listen, don't let them tell you that you can't do this. Listen,
Take them drawers off,
right,
girl.
right. And I know it's the first day, but we got a strong vibration going on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let's roll with it.
Let's roll with it. But then there's another side of me that's like, man, I don't, the same thing that makes me attracted to this woman for this moment in time is also the same thing that makes me unattracted to this woman in terms of having long-term prospects.
Now let's talk about that. Everybody out here talking about body count. That really matters to you.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
is it just the number, or is it how a woman with a large body count carries herself?
I would say it's how they would carry themselves. And it's the number too. I mean, because to me, it factors into the decision making, like how this person makes decisions. So if I'm, and women know that, right? So, just like it's women that will say, hey, I dated this person and this person who may have been celebrities or on this higher caliber, right? So they know, I'm judging them based on the type of men that they're able to, attract,
pull, right.
to pull. So if a woman is saying she's been with, numerous amounts of guys, I'm just thinking in my mind, her standard is low.
And let me add to that, because if you think about it, not many people have $1 million in their bank account. So I know if somebody has been able to acquire $1 million in their bank account, that it's not just about that number. It's about the mindset it took to acquire $1 million. I could probably tell some things about you that allowed you to accrue that amount of wealth. So again, if you telling me that you've had X amount of sexual partners, I can probably assume there's a mindset that goes along with you being able to build up this many sexual partners. That probably leads back to your standards. That probably leads back to your morals. That probably leads back to your upbringing. That probably leads back to your friend groups. It leads back to where your environments are and where you've been in life. So much is connected to that. So it's not necessarily just a number.
So what does your body count say about your upbringing, your morals, your background, and your decision making?
So see, that's a 100% great questions, because as men, for a man to have copious amounts of sex, right? It's a little bit different from women, because a woman, she could be broke as hell.
That's true.
Not much.
That's true.
And I
All
mean,
she got to do is throw the legs
you,
up.
Yeah,
you,
right,
you
yeah.
throw the legs up and you could do it. Now, for a man to do this, he either has to have built up some skill sets in himself. He has to build up a level of success in himself. He has to build himself to a certain point to have multiple sexual partners. Now, that's not to say that is constructive at all times, and it's not distracting to have copious amounts of sexual partners for a man. But I do feel like it's a little bit of a difference with a man and a woman, having high sexual activity. Now, for me personally, I would say some of it did not come from the best place, because I grew up with an uncle, man, that was just a legendary player.
Just out there.
I'm talking about and this brother, this brother was about 5'3", and I'm talking about had swag out this world, knew how to dress, knew how to talk. He was taking me to the mall when I was 11 years old with him down at Lenox, and he would throw me in front of women and pressure me, and I would just get reps in, and that's actually how I gained a lot of confidence dealing with women. And that was a whole activity. We'll go there for a whole day and do that, right? And
Training day.
And it turned into like the kill for me, right? It was about the kill. It was like, yeah, I got the kill. Yeah. So I can't necessarily say that's the most constructive thing to do, because it's one thing to chase and it's another to attract.
True.
That's a big difference.
That's true.
And I wouldn't say at that point in my life I was attracted. I wasn't even that very attractive. I didn't have much as a man. But going back to it, again, that's the biggest difference I see with men and women. I think women all their life, they're protecting this thing, while men, we're trying to conquer this thing.
Right.
And that's what concerns me about a woman that's having a high number of sexual partners. But it's becoming more and more common now.
Right.
As we, move into this highly sexualized society. We having sex earlier and more often.
More often. And I said this a long time ago, and I got a lot of heat for it, but it's a double standard. And that's the world we live in. And if I had a daughter, I would tell her to be.
Yep. Hey, put some handcuffs. Listen, shut that shit down.
And not because it's right, not because it's fair, and not because you have, but you carry so much of the burden of it. I mean, it's easier to get AIDS as a woman than a guy because of the flow of the natural things, and there are babies, and there are guys who don't like a large body count. It ain't right, and you can argue all day long that it's a double standard, and it is. But for thousands of years, our virginity was our only asset. Was our only asset. Now we have other assets, but as a biological thing, y'all ain't got over it yet. Do you know what I'm saying?
That innocence is most important to us.
And I don't think you should. If I had a daughter, I'd be like, no is the most beautiful word in the English language. Say it say it often, and say it loudly. And just don't, not because it's right, not because it's fair, but because it'll do you the best in. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for that, but that's what I would do for a daughter of mine. That.
I'm on the same page with you. I mean, even thinking about, it's certain things that even pop in my mind that are associated with body count. So, for example, if you told me you had traveled the world, you had these different experiences, it would make sense because I'm like, she's a very successful, attorney and judge. So that makes sense. But, if you you're a waitress at a bar or something like that, or, you might be a nanny or something, and you telling me you've been on these yachts and you've been on all these trips, the first thing I'm thinking is, you fuck with a lot of dudes. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to, the only way you got there. So even when it comes to certain women, sharing certain things, it even pops in my mind. Because I'm like, wow, okay, well, in my opinion, it might be a selfish thing. I'm thinking, wow, that's less that I can potentially show this woman. That's me. Now I'm going places with these other very successful men. I'm even thinking, wow, is she looking at these other men? Because she has such an open philosophy about sharing herself with the world in this way. So I have it's just crazy because I advise women to hold on to it, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I do indulge in the other side. Yeah. It's a duality of life.
But you have to, everything you do, feel, and think is not going to necessarily be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're not going to be
right.
you're not going to be in a bucket. Your wants and your needs and your wants and your needs are one thing, and your knowledge is another. And you have to make decisions for yourself about what you're going to do. And I think women should have the right to have the same sexual freedoms as men, as long as you understand the ramifications thereof. It may not be fair.
I agree with that.
It may not be right, but you have to live, you have to understand the world that you live in so you can accept the good and the bad of whatever decisions you make. You just have to be knowledgeable. That's my belief system.
Hit the gavel on that one. Yeah. All right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Man, we done had this wise counsel come up on here and drop this game.
We talked about some different things. Did you think we was going to dive so much into your personal relationship?
I didn't know what y'all were going to do. I try to come into interviews completely blank because first of all, I want to give you what you want, and so you know where you're headed. And two, that's why it's more interesting. You know what I mean? Just to be, and I like, even on divorce court, I didn't read the packets because I enjoyed the exploration. So
I love that.
I feel like I can ask you anything and you're going to have some expertise in it, to be honest with you.
Well, I will tell you I don't know when I don't know, which is wonderful because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, exactly right.
Tell you they don't know. I'm comfortable saying I'm not know, but I do. I'm a voracious reader, and I don't believe anything I'm told. I'll remember it and I'll look it up, but I'm a voracious reader. I'm in the middle of 3-4 books all the time, and I think it's just. I think everybody should read more. We have become Google stupid, and there's no context. You can get the answer that you need, but there's no context in it. And so I think that I think everybody should read more because there's so much history and so much context that we are unaware of. And everything we're doing now, in some way, shape, or form, has happened before.
Let me ask you this, because before we let you go, I want you to leave our people with a message. Because if there's one thing that you can tell our people, men and women, men or women, to be able to improve the state of our relationships,
Right.
what would you leave them with?
Approach whomever you're with as an individual, not a representation of male or female. Make knowledgeable decisions about what you want and what you need and conversations. Do not take advice from people who are similarly situated solely because they have the same problems, the same limits you are. How am I going to get more information from you if you and I have had the same experiences? You know, broaden yourself, read more, and be an individual. Everybody says they are, but they're not. There's a uniform. There's a uniform with your hair and your eyelashes and your makeup and your butt and all of that. Don't wear the uniform. Don't become. We're such a label-heavy society. Like this, you're a simp, you're an alpha, you're a beta, you're a pick-me, you're a this, you're a that. No, I'm Lynn Toler, and I'm married to Eric Mumford, and that's what that is. And if you can approach it that way, and like when you said, like I didn't know about the going out and they're on the phone. You know, learn from the past. You know, just because I'm old doesn't mean everything I used to do was stupid. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just, you know, do something different. Everybody seems to be looking to lockstep. You know, there's the right thing to say, there's the right thing to do. You know, don't be afraid to be an individual. And being an individual is, you know, sporting thoughts that other people don't have, but being willing to step off them as well. You know, everybody's so committed to their position.
Yep.
You can, you know, I'm ready to be proven. I say I'm wrong all day long, which makes me more likely to be right because I will detach from a position that has demonstrated it is not correct, and I will approach a new one. People get personally invested in what they believe to the extent that all rational thought misses them. And I'll listen to anything and everybody, and we just need to be less committed to the silos of our own beliefs.
And that's the
branch
thing.
out.
That's the thing. When you know, if you have enough courage to admit that you're wrong, you're not wrong anymore. That's the best thing about it.
So let me sum
And you
this
can
up,
grow,
because
yeah.
it was so much game in that. Check your ego, know yourself, know your worth. And I'm talking about that is some game. That is some absolute game. Judge Lynn Toler, thank you so much.
Gentlemen, I had a ball. Thank you.
Me too.
I really had a good time.
No,
I really,
absolutely.
Really did.
Tell
Thank you for having
these
me.
people where they can get in contact with you, what you got going for them. Please plug yourself in.
Okay. My husband will say I'm terrible at this. I have two, Making Marriage Work, My Mother's Rules, and Dear Sonali, Letters to a Daughter I Never Had. Those are my 3 books.
Buy the books.
The young one, the Dear Sonali, I would have named my daughter Sonali had I had one. And that's for young 20-year-old girls. My Mother's Rules is for anybody who wants to be able to think their way through how they feel. And that's what makes me able to overcome all of the struggles that I have.
They need that one. I started that one. That was good.
I love, I mean, out of everything I've ever done in life, divorce court, all that book is my favorite. And Making Marriage Work is to help you with relationships. And I met Real Judge Lynn all over. And I've got a new project, a scripted series that's going to come out soon. So I'm excited about that. And so, yeah, that's it.
I love that. And I love that you doing new things too, because you've been in the game for a minute, but you're still advancing,
They're
still trying out stuff new.
Right, yeah.
I mean, this energy I'm talking about, let me tell y'all, From the time I spoke to Judge Lynn on the phone to meeting her in person, you a 63rd birthday you just had. And I'm talking about this energy is just as youthful and vibrant as you can ever imagine. And I appreciate you bringing that here and blessing us with your presence. Y'all, Judge Lynn Toler on the platform. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Hardly Initiated. We are out.
All right.